No, cried Gandalf, springing to his feet. With that power I should have power too great and terrible. And over me the ring would gain a power still greater and more deadly. His eyes flashed and his face was lit as by a fire within. Do not tempt me. For I do not wish to become like the Dark Lord himself. Yet the way of the ring to my heart is by pity, pity for weakness and the desire of strength to do good. Do not tempt me. I dare not take it, not even to keep it safe and used. The wish to wield it would be too great for my strength. I shall have such need of it. Great perils lie before me. To me it would not seem that a steward who faithfully surrenders his charge is diminished in love or in honor. I am with you at present, said Gandalf, but soon I shall not be. I am not coming to the Shire. You must settle its affairs yourselves, that is what you have been trained for. Do you not yet understand? My time is over, it is no longer my task to set things to rights, nor to help folk to do so. And as for you, my dear friends, you will need no help. You are grown up now. Grown indeed very high, among the great you are, and I have no longer any fear at all for any of you. The treacherous are ever distrustful. With a terrible cry the Balrog fell forward, and its shadow plunged down and vanished. But even as it fell it swung its whip, and the thongs lashed and curled about the wizard's knees, dragging him to the brink. He staggered and fell, grasped vainly at the stone, and slid into the abyss. Fly, you fools, he cried, and was gone. There is no real going back. Though I may come to the Shire, it will not seem the same, for I shall not be the same. I am wounded with knife, sting, and tooth, and a long burden. Where shall I find rest? At last all such things must end, he said, but I would have you wait a little while longer, for the end of the deeds that you have shared in has not yet come. A day draws near that I have looked for in all the years of my manhood, and when it comes I would have my friends beside me. But no living man am I. You look upon a woman. Eowyn I am, Eamund's daughter. You stand between me and my lord and kin. Begone if you be not deathless. For living or dark undead, I will smite you if you touch him. It's the job that's never started as takes longest to finish. And you're with me. And the journey's finished. But after coming all that way I don't want to give up yet. It's not like me somehow, if you understand. But I thought I'd have a look and see how Mrs. Cotton was keeping, and you, Rosie. Don't leave me here alone. It's your Sam calling. Don't go where I can't follow. Wake up, Mr. Frodo. Oh, wake up, Frodo, me dear, me dear. Wake up. I thought that elves were all for moon and stars, but this is more elvish than anything I ever heard tell of. I feel as if I was inside a song, if you take my meaning. And people will say, let's hear about Frodo and the ring. And they'll say, yes, that's one of my favorite stories. Frodo was very brave, wasn't he, Dad? Yes, my boy, the famousest of the hobbits, and that's saying a lot. He had stuck to his master all the way, that was what he had chiefly come for, and he would still stick to him. His master would not go to Mordor alone. Sam is an excellent fellow, and would jump down a dragon's throat to save you, if he did not trip over his own feet. What a tale we have been in, Mr. Frodo, haven't we? As he gazed at it suddenly Sam understood, almost with a shock, that this stronghold had been built not to keep enemies out of Mordor, but to keep them in. In that hour of trial it was the love of his master that helped most to hold him firm, but also deep down in him lived still unconquered his plain hobbit sense. He knew in the core of his heart that he was not large enough to bear such a burden, even if such visions were not a mere cheat to betray him. Then the sooner we're rid of it, the sooner to rest. Of course it is, answered Sam. But not alone. I'm coming too, or neither of us isn't going. I'll knock holes in all the boats first. As Sam stood there, even though the ring was not on him but hanging by its chain about his neck, he felt himself enlarged, as if he were robed in a huge distorted shadow of himself. A vast and ominous threat halted upon the walls of Mordor. Already the ring tempted him, gnawing at his will and reason. That's the one place in all the lands we've ever heard of that we don't want to see any closer, and that's the one place we're trying to get to. And that's just where we can't get, nohow. Smeagol'll get into real true hot water, when this water boils, if he don't do as he asked. But what can I do? Not leave Mr. Frodo dead, unburied on top of the mountains, and go home? Or go on? Go on? Well, what's to be done with it, said Sam. Tie it up, so as it can't come sneaking after us no more, I say. This only was wanting. Now comes the night. Sauron was become now a sorcerer of dreadful power, master of shadows and of phantoms, foul in wisdom, cruel in strength, misshaping what he touched, twisting what he ruled, lord of werewolves. His dominion was torment. This doom she chose, forsaking the blessed realm, and putting aside all claim to kinship with those that dwell there, that thus whatever grief might lie in wait, the fates of Búrin and Lúthien might be joined, and their paths lead together beyond the confines of the world. And thou, Melkor, shalt see that no theme may be played that hath not its uttermost source in me, nor can any alter the music in my despite. For he that attempteth this shall prove but mine instrument in the devising of things more wonderful, which he himself hath not imagined. Justice is not healing. Healing cometh only by suffering and patience, and mocketh no demand, not even for justice. There came a time near dawn on the eve of spring, and Lúthien danced upon a green hill, and suddenly she began to sing. Keen, heart-piercing was her song as the song of the lark that rises from the gates of night and pours its voice among the dying stars, seeing the sun behind the walls of the world. Now fair and marvelous was that vessel made, and it was filled with a wavering flame, pure and bright, and Eärendil the mariner sat at the helm, glistening with dust of elven gems, and the Silmaril was bound upon his brow. But Fingolfin gleamed beneath it as a star, for his mail was overlaid with silver, and his blue shield was set with crystals, and he drew his sword Ringil, that glittered like ice. And for a great deal it seemed good to him, for in the music there were no flaws. Far he journeyed in that ship, even into the starless voids, but most often was he seen at morning or at evening, glimmering in sunrise or sunset, as he came back to Valinor from voyages beyond the confines of the world. Both, also, desired to make things of their own that should be new and unthought of by others, and delighted in the praise of their skill. Justice worketh only within the bonds of things as they are, and therefore though justice is itself good and desireth no further evil, it can but perpetuate the evil that was, and doth not prevent it from the bearing of fruit and sorrow. What would you hear, unhappy mortal, and for what cause have you left your own land to enter this, which is forbidden to such as you? Can you show reason why my power should not be laid on you in heavy punishment for your insolence and folly? And the song of Lúthien released the bonds of winter, and the frozen waters spoke, and flowers sprang from the cold earth where he feet had passed. Then the spell of silence fell from Búrin, and he called to her, crying to Nuviel, and the woods echoed the name. Last of all Hurin stood alone. Then he cast aside his shield, and wielded an axe two-handed, and it is sung that the axe smoked in the black blood of the Trollguard of Gothmog until it withered, and each time that he slew Hurin cried, or Entaluva, "Day shall come again." 70 times he uttered that cry, but they took him at last alive. Therefore Morgoth came, climbing slowly from his subterranean throne, and the rumor of his feet was like thunder underground. And he issued forth clad in black armor, and he stood before the king like a tower, iron-crowned, and his vast shield, sable unblazoned, cast a shadow over him like a storm cloud. Then Búrin looking up beheld the eyes of Lúthien, and his glance went also to the face of Melian, and it seemed to him that words were put into his mouth. Fear left him, and the pride of the eldest house of men returned to him. He said, "My fate, O king, led me hither, through perils such as few even of the elves would dare. And here I have found what I sought not indeed, but finding I would possess forever. For it is above all gold and silver, and beyond all jewels. Neither rock, nor steel, nor the fires of Morgoth, nor all the powers of the elf kingdoms, shall keep from me the treasure that I desire. For Lúthien your daughter is the fairest of all the children of the world." Then silence fell upon the hall. Thus he came alone to Angban's gates, and he sounded his horn, and smote once more upon the brazen doors, and challenged Morgoth to come forth to single combat. And Morgoth came. Here ends the Silmarillion. If it has passed from the high and the beautiful to darkness and ruin, that was of old the fate of Arda marred, and if any change shall come and the marring be amended, Manwë and Varda may know, but they have not revealed it, and it is not declared in the dooms of Mandos.